NASCAR heads west for the third time this year, and look who won. Tonight on Wind Tunnel, Tommy Kendall helps us break down today's action at California Speedway. The poster boy for wild and crazy is now a full-time NASCAR driver. We'll ask Travis Pastrana why he's trading the ups and downs of extreme sports for the roundy round of stock car racing. And the IndyCar Series green flags a brand new season on the streets of St. Pete. We'll chat up the winner. Things are moving fast. Welcome to Wind Tunnel.
Hi there, welcome to Wind Tunnel. I'm Dave Despain. There was a big team orders controversy in the Malaysian Grand Prix. IndyCar Series opened the season with an eventful race in the streets of St. Pete, giving us reason to talk to first-time winner James Hinchcliffe. Travis Pastrana's transition from extreme sports hero to NASCAR driver. That's interesting stuff. We'll get Travis in here shortly. However, it was Denny Hamlin versus Joey Logano round 2 that got the racing world buzzing. They've never been lovey-dovey teammates. Those two tangled last week at Bristol, and the ensuing Twitter fight had fans thinking retaliation at California Speedway. Nah, never going to happen, the talking heads proclaimed. Track's too fast, too much risk. Well, the pundits had it wrong, and those two made really big headlines this week. Doesn't matter much if the first 188 laps are not very interesting, as long as the last 12 are exciting, and these were. Final restart, Joey Logano up front all day, drops low to block Tony Stewart. Smoke's anger will be apparent shortly. Kyle Busch, dominant all day, but not having closed the deal in a long time. Hope to do so today. He's in the green and white. Kurt Busch, back from a lap down, using fresher tires, diving low, briefly getting alongside Logano for second, eventually finishing fifth. Here's Denny Hamlin, dunk, into the back of Logano. He's on fresh tires, and when those two got into it along with Kyle, well, they ended up leaving Kyle behind and battling for the lead. Fans anticipating bad blood between those two. Well, sure enough, as they left Busch behind, it came down to the two of them racing for the lead into turn 3 on the last lap. Logano washes up, puts Hamlin in the wall. The wall keeps Logano from crashing, but look at this hit for Denny Hamlin. He got out of the car, but then was taken to the infield hospital. With those two out of the way, Kyle Busch wins. First victory for Toyota at the Auto Club Speedway. And here to analyze the action, pleasure to welcome Tommy Kendall back to Wind Tunnel. Okay, TK, let's get right to it. Is Joey Logano the bad guy on that last lap, or was that just racing?
Well, I mean, I was watching it unfold, and I realized there was no way Denny Hamlin was going to win that race. And so, but the actual incident, I mean, he raced him. He didn't just dump him. I mean, he basically said, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to go in here as deep as I need to stay in front of you. And the results are what happened. You know, Denny kind of was damned if he did, damned if he didn't, because if he just sat back there and followed him to the finish, Logano would have won and figured he still owed Hamlin. So, obviously we hope Hamlin's okay, but, the entertainment capital of the world finally served up a NASCAR race worthy of that title.
On the subject of Hamlin's condition, Chris Devoda tweeted in the last few minutes that J.D. Gibbs, who runs Joe Gibbs Racing, thinks Denny is okay, but they're taking him in for evaluation just to be sure. Elaborate on how Hamlin was damned if he did and damned if he didn't in the context of this battle between he and Logano going forward. What do you mean by that?
Well, if Hamlin had the presence of mind, and said, listen, if I get any chance, he's not going to let me win this race based on what happened last week, and followed him to the finish line, Logano still would have felt he owed him and paid him back with interest for Bristol somewhere down the road.
Oh, okay.
Now, unfortunately, so I think he couldn't really win no matter what. That said, I think Logano raced him not clean, but it wasn't just a straight out wreck like you saw, Gordon do to Boyer last year or something like that. So, it's a tough spot. Now that Hamlin's been injured, Joey's post-race comments were beyond insensitive. I think it's going to just escalate from here.
Joey's saying that he got what he deserved, and that was certainly not in the context of him being hurt. He didn't know at that point what his condition was. The safer barrier is such an incredible innovation, but if there's anywhere on the track that doesn't have a soft wall, some car is going to find it, as Hamlin's did today. That was an ugly, ugly hit, and assuming he's not hurt badly, he's very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think he should send a big thank you to the folks that make the Hans device another life most likely saved. I think it's to the point where they've never had a car hit there before, but I think, like you said, they're going to find the spots without it. It's time that they put them everywhere they can, I think.
So how do you think this goes forward? If it had been, for example, Kurt Busch and Carl Edwards who had that same finish, we'd be having a much different conversation. Everybody's going to have their own scorecard as a driver. How do you see this heading for the short track at Martinsville? Are Hamlin and Logano even, or is there more to come?
I think it would have just been, that's the way it goes if Hamlin hadn't gotten banged up and so forth. I think if they had just harmlessly spun and Busch had zoomed through to take the win, I think the way this ended, I suspect now Hamlin feels like he's got to punch Logano's card, and so it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds.
Tony Stewart, most colorful interview of the weekend. Did he have a legitimate complaint, do you think, about being blocked by Logano?
Well, it's funny because it all depends on your point of view. And, Tony Stewart, wrecked the field at Talladega by putting a big block on and seemed to feel bad about it. It's one of these things where until Copernicus figured it out that everything didn't revolve around us, it takes a driver, best I can tell, about 10 years past retirement to be able to see anybody else's point of view. And that's the nature of the racing driver. It's how they do what they do. I think he had a point. I think there's more to it than that. I think, again, it's an old wound. The scab gets ripped off, and you heard what he said. He had a little bit of a beef, but it's not probably different than what he would have done maybe in the same situation.
I don't know how we're going to top wind tunnels quoting Copernicus. We'll leave it at that. Tommy Kendall, thank you very much, as always, for your expertise. We appreciate it. See you again soon. We'll move on to the point standings. And look who is atop the chart, ladies and gentlemen. Dale Earnhardt Jr. He had a pretty bad day going, and boy, they turned it into magic at the end as he comes home with a second-place finish in the race and takes the championship point lead. All right, what else is on the agenda for tonight? Well, you got Travis Pastrana's stock car debut that was temporarily delayed when this trick went way wrong. Badly broken leg. However, the extreme sports icon is now a full-time NASCAR Nationwide driver. So, is that a sign he's settling down? We'll ask him about that. IndyCar opening the season today on the streets of St. Petersburg. Wind tunnel regular James Hinchcliffe put the GoDaddy car in victory lane, a first for both car and driver. He brings the victory party to us after the break. And in Formula One, team orders trigger a little temper fest at the always hot Malaysian Grand Prix. Stay tuned. Much more to come on Wind Tunnel tonight. The stars of the IndyCar Series, who finally retook the spotlight this afternoon after a long offseason dominated by ongoing political upheaval. The 2013 campaign opening this afternoon on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. Your pole sitter was Will Power, and he checked out early. Yeah, man, he is driving hard, as was Dario Franchitti on cold tires after a pit stop, and he paid the price for that. Restart sees Helio Castroneves making an aggressive outside pass on the leader Power, while James Hinchcliffe in green slips past Takuma Sato for third. 5 laps later, another restart. Power touched Castroneves, and that lets Hinchcliffe through to second. A little past halfway, problem for series champ Ryan Hunter-Reay. No mojo there. And how weird is this? Power gets run over under caution by J.R. Hildebrand, who was fiddling with the cockpit controls and didn't see the traffic slow. If you're still texting while driving, let this be a lesson to you. Big moment comes on the final restart. Castroneves slipped into turn 1. Hinchcliffe pounced underneath to take the lead he would never relinquish. Simona de Silvestro on used-up tires, third until she missed turn 14 on the next to last lap, letting Marco Andretti and Tony Kanaan through. Up front, the mayor of Hinchcliffe the mayor of Hinchtown takes the win and the point lead and the opportunity to talk about it here on Wind Tunnel. James, congratulations. They say the first one's always the best, so you tell me, how does it feel the first time?
Oh, man, it's tough to put into words, you know. To finally get GoDaddy's first win in IndyCar was awesome, so big thanks to Bob Parsons for all the support there, and it was a very emotional cool-down lap, if I'm honest. You know, it's a childhood dream to be an IndyCar driver and to be an IndyCar winner, and so to do it here, get it out of the way, first race of the season, and you know, especially knowing this is in a way still Dan's car, to do it in Dan's hometown with his family here and everything, it was a pretty special day.
I wonder if that's not the answer to my last question. You sat for a long time in that car and seemed kind of lost in your own little world before you climbed out with the Canadian flag. Were those the things running through your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's I'm a very, I guess, energetic guy, but I've never pegged myself as a super emotional guy. And as soon as I crossed the line, I couldn't hold back. I mean, I could not see where I was going on that cool-down lap. It's a good thing I didn't find a wall anywhere, to be honest.
Your engineer, Craig Hampson, talked in his post-race interview about Hinchcliffe 2.0. Elaborate on that. Where did that term come from, and what does it mean?
Well, we were joking pre-race in our strategy meeting. He says, I'm really excited. And I said, what about? He goes, well, I can't wait to see what Hinchcliffe 2.0 is like. And so I said, well, what has to be different from 1.0 to 2.0? And he goes, I want to see better restarts, I want to see more aggressive passing on track, and I want to see better fuel saving. And at some point today, we had to do all of those things. And after the race, he came on the radio and said, you know what, I like 2.0. Let's stick with him.
Tell me about specifically the aggressive pass on Castroneves, although in a way that looked like it might have been a gift. Was it a forced error, or was that a gimme from Elio?
I mean, I'd love to say it was masterful trickery on my part, you know, but, you know, Elio's a very experienced driver. You're not going to play games with him like that. He just outbraked himself, and with that restart, I was a bit nervous I was going to lose spots because I was the only guy on blacks surrounded by, you know, really quick cars on reds, and he made that mistake, and I figured, okay, fine, I'll lead a couple laps, but ultimately, you know, he's going to have the pace. I watched him just absolutely walk away from me, you know, the stint before, so I knew he was quick, and about 10 laps in, I thought, hey, he's still back there. I mean, he's close, but, you know, he's not right on my gearbox yet. And so it just went into saving as much fuel as I could, but hitting every single mark and not making a mistake. And that's really what was the key today.
Well, now that you're a speed regular, we'll be seeing you right here next week for Speed Center and Wind Tunnel. We look forward to that. Again, congratulations. Nice work.
Thanks very much, man. Can't wait to get back there.
And we move on to the international road racing scene in perpetually hot and steamy Malaysia. Post-race teammate relations decidedly chilly after world champion Sebastian Vettel ignored team orders, aggressively passed his teammate, and won the Malaysian Grand Prix. Vettel started from pole, and in the inevitable first-turn scrum was touched by the Ferrari of Fernando Alonso. Fred's broken wing sent him to the sidelines a lap later. Old habits die hard. Mercedes new hire Lewis Hamilton pulled into the pits of his former employer on the first pit stop. Our excuse to show the pussycat doll reaction. Late in the race, Nico Rosberg instructed not to pass Hamilton for third.
Nico, please drop back, leave a gap. We have to look after the cars.
Nico complied, unlike Vettel, who went after teammate Mark Webber for the lead.
Mark is too slow, get him out of the way.
Team orders call for Vettel, hold position.
This is silly, Seb, come on.
Vettel on better tires refused to relent, passed Webber, claimed his 27th career win, tying Jackie Stewart on the all-time list.
Good job, Sebastian. Still, there'll be some explaining to do.
Hamilton took third, then stated the obvious.
If I'm honest, I really feel that Nico should be standing here.
And runner-up Webber, philosophical.
In the end, Seb made his own decisions today, and we'll have protection as usual, and that's the way it goes.
Vettel takes the point lead from last week's winner, Kimi Räikkönen, who was a lackluster 7th. And afterward, Vettel was appropriately apologetic. He said it was a mistake. He said that he messed up, and I expect Webber has it right. Nothing bad's going to happen to the 3-time world champ as he goes after title number 4. All right, next up, he's jumped motorcycles, jumped cars, and jumped out of airplanes with no parachute. Now, the extreme sports wild man Travis Pastrana has become a full-time NASCAR driver. Yes, we do have the video proof, and he now has a full-time NASCAR Nationwide deal with Roush Racing. Travis is going to join us live right after the commercial break and tell us all about it. Welcome back. Experts said it couldn't be done. Backflip a motorcycle? Never going to happen. Well, okay. Double backflipping a motorcycle? That's impossible. Yeah, right. And jumping out of an airplane with no parachute? That is just plain crazy. Well, en route to becoming one of the world's best-known extreme athletes, Travis Pastrana did all of the above. And his spare time, he won racing championships. First in motocross, and then when he focused on the American Rally Series, he won that title 4 straight times. So what's left to accomplish? Why, become a NASCAR star, of course. And he's here tonight to tell us all about it. Travis Pastrana, welcome back to Wind Tunnel. Great to see you, man. Thanks for your time tonight.
No, thanks for having me on.
Let's start with the topic that the whole NASCAR world is going to be buzzing about. Same question to you that I put to Tommy Kendall. Was Joey Logano the bad guy, or was that just racing on the last lap today at California Speedway?
Well, I think all the drivers are going for the win, but Denny had to know if he did not clear Joey that stuff was going to hit the fan. So, you know, I mean, they're going to race each other like they feel like the other guys race them. And, you know, every driver has a different perspective. So I'd say that should have been expected, but definitely Kyle came out looking on top of that one.
Let's talk about you. Given all the wild and crazy stuff you've done in your life, the obvious questions are why NASCAR and why now? What is it about stock car racing that prompts you to focus on this series at this point in your career?
Competition. All the best drivers in America and now the best drivers in the world are coming to NASCAR. And, you know, I did the U.S. Rally Championship, and that was awesome. And, you know, the option for me at that point was, okay, let's go to the World Championship, or let's stay here in the States and, you know, see if we have what it takes on pavement. So I was friends with a lot of the guys, you know, Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards and these guys from different racing and stuff. So I had always kind of looked up to these guys and Brian Vickers on the Red Bull team. And when my opportunity came to try to get into NASCAR, I said, you know what, let's go for it, and let's go for it all the way.
Having watched you since you were 16 years old, it occurs to me you're recently married, baby on the way, turned 30 October the 8th, I think it is. I can see the merit in climbing into a relatively safe NASCAR machine every week rather than, say, trying to do that 720. Did that play at all into your decision? Here's the crash at the X Games, and that one hurt bad. How much did the inevitable aging process factor into your decision?
You know, without a doubt. I mean, most people can't say they come to NASCAR because it's a safer sport at 200 miles an hour. Everyone trying to push you into the wall. But no, I mean, it's definitely, for me, competition is what my life is based around. Like, even Nitro Circus, everyone's like, oh, well, it's just crazy and stunts. Well, it's just trying to one-up your friends. NASCAR just happens to be on the biggest level of racing that I personally believe, you know, I have a chance. You know, so does every red-blooded American. Everyone's like, oh, I can do it. And I've had so many of my friends like, well, why aren't you just going faster? I'm like, you don't understand. I am on the edge. We're sliding. This weekend, I was following Trevor Bain, and he was, you know, we got the same car, same equipment. He's pulling away. I tried to go up top, and he's running off the wall, using it as a cushion. And so I went up, and I ran off the wall for maybe 200 feet one lap. And as the back tire or back end touches it, it's like if you're doing a bench press and you can't quite, you know, like you can't lift the weight, and someone just gives you just that little extra. That's what the wall did, and it just held me there. And I came out, I was like, this is awesome. But you know, we're still back outside the top 10. So I need to figure out how to go faster still, but we're working on it.
13th in the Nationwide race yesterday. Given the size of your fan base, NASCAR's got to love having you on board. I'm curious how your fans react. They're accustomed to watching you do tricks that last 3 seconds. Are they going to sit around for 3-hour stock car races?
You know, it was really funny today. I got probably 30 text messages right after that incident in the Cup race. They're like, "This is awesome!" So the coolest part about, you know, seeing any kind of racing. But I took all my friends to Daytona, 2 years ago, and Kyle Busch crashed 3 times and still won the race. And then we're all sitting right down in the front, and I got all these guys from Action Sports that were just making fun of me the whole time. And here comes Jeff Gordon upside down, comes to a stop right in front of us, and these guys are just like, this is so awesome. So I think it's just a matter of having these guys getting out there and seeing it and seeing the speeds. And they're still, like I said, everyone's giving me a hard time. They're like, I don't understand why you're not going faster. Just pin it and go left. Like, how hard can it be? But it's the most technical sport I've ever done, and I love that challenge. So it's going to be a long road. I don't know if we can make it, but we got a great team with Roush Fenway and great teammates, and I think I can do it. So we're gonna put our head down and see what happens.
It'll be fun to watch. We wish you luck, and thanks for bringing all those new fans over to the world of stock car racing. We appreciate your time, Travis. We need to
thanks a lot, Dave. Appreciate it.
Need to move on quickly. I want to tell you about the World of Outlaw sprints last night as we go to the rapid fire. This is Stockton, California. Tim Kading going fast in the black car, stuck in traffic. Watch the white car around the top. Who dat? Kyle Larson, who hitched a plane ride to the race with Tony Stewart. Tony finished 9th, and the kid left there to go finish 6th yesterday in the Nationwide race. That's Paul McMahon, who won last night as the pole sitter Stewart and Chad Kemenah collided. That's Kemenah flipping past the flag, beating Stewart for 2nd. I hope it paid well. Toronto, the early season Supercross leader Davey Millsap back out front, but couldn't stay there. His nemesis, the reigning series champ Ryan Villopoto, took away the lead with that pass and went on to his 4th win in a row, extending his point lead to 12 over Millsap's. And a quick update on Robert Kubica, the former rising star in Formula One who crashed badly in a rally in 2011. He made his debut in the European Rally Championship this week in the Canary Islands, led all the way, only to have this crash, and ain't he glad he didn't go over the side with 4 stages left. He's okay. We'll be back with Eye Candy. That's it. We're out of time. We'll see you next week. James Hinchcliffe is going to be here co-hosting for Easter Sunday. I'm Dave Despain. So long, everyone.